One of the strangest plays of the MLB season just happened, and it wasn't because of bad skill, it was something worse. A routine toss back to Kyle Bradish turned into pure chaos, and what happened next had fans questioning everything about effort and awareness on the field. But the real question is, did this moment expose a bigger problem nobody's talking about? It looked like just another routine moment in a tight MLB game, until everything suddenly unraveled. In a 2-2 battle between the Chicago White Sox and Baltimore Orioles, nothing felt out of the ordinary. Both teams were trading runs, momentum was balanced, and the tension was building inning by inning. But then, in a split second, a simple toss back to Kyle Bradish turned into one of the most shocking mental lapses you'll see all season. And what happened next didn't just surprise fans, it completely changed the energy of the game. Because what looked like a small mistake was about to spiral into something much bigger. Everything was still under control, until this one moment flipped the entire game. A routine pitch sequence from Kyle Bradish should have been nothing more than a reset after a full count at bat. The bases were about to load, tension was normal, and the defense was already shifting into position. But then came the unexpected. A simple toss back from Adley Rutschman that should have been automatic wasn't handled cleanly. No contact, no awareness, no urgency. And suddenly, a normal dead ball moment turned into the kind of mistake that exposes everything in seconds. And what happened in the next few seconds made it even worse. At first glance, it looked like a simple misplay, something every MLB player experiences. But what happened next is what truly raised eyebrows. Instead of reacting instantly, Kyle Bradish appeared almost too relaxed after the missed tossback. With a runner on third already reading the situation, every second mattered. But there was hesitation, no sharp urgency, no immediate recovery mindset. In a game where split seconds decide everything, that casual reaction became the real story. Because the mistake itself wasn't the worst part, it was how slowly everything unfolded afterward that completely shifted momentum and opened the door for chaos. And that hesitation is exactly what the runner was waiting for. What started as a recoverable mistake suddenly turned into full-blown panic. As the ball trickled away and the pressure mounted, Kyle Bradish finally rushed into action. But by then it was already too late. Every movement looked rushed, every second felt heavier, and the calm structure of the play completely collapsed. With runners already reading the chaos, the situation demanded precision, not desperation. Instead, what followed was a hurried, off-balance throw that only made things worse. And in that exact moment, a simple routine reset turned into a momentum-breaking sequence that nobody in the stadium saw coming. But the worst part wasn't the mistake, it was what it allowed to happen next. And this is the part most people completely miss, because the mistake didn't happen in isolation. It was forced by pressure that came from unexpected hustle. As chaos unfolded around the missed tossback involving Kyle Bradish, it was actually the aggressive awareness of Chase Maedroth that changed everything. One moment of hesitation turned into a sprinting opportunity, and suddenly the defense wasn't reacting anymore, they were surviving. What looked like a casual error on the surface was actually triggered by constant pressure building from the base paths, exposing how quickly effort and awareness can completely break down a professional play. Because without that hustle, none of this chaos even happens. At this point, the question wasn't just about a mistake anymore, it was about impact. Because when the dust settled, the game was suddenly hanging in the balance. The momentum had shifted, and the Baltimore Orioles found themselves right back in control after what looked like a harmless sequence. One lapse involving Kyle Bradish had opened the door, but the real concern was whether this was the moment that quietly decided the outcome. In tight games like this, it only takes one breakdown to rewrite everything, and now everyone was watching to see if that moment would define the result. Because the response from the Orioles was immediate and ruthless. While all eyes were on the chaos unfolding in the field, one player was quietly turning this game into a statement. Taylor Ward wasn't part of the mistake, he was part of the response. As momentum swung, he stayed locked in and delivered yet another key hit, continuing a scorching stretch that has him batting near .400 with an ops over 1. In a game defined by errors and hesitation, his consistency stood out even more. Because sometimes the biggest difference maker isn't the mistake everyone remembers, it's the player who keeps producing while everything else falls apart around him. And just when it felt over, the game still had one final twist left. In the end, the scoreboard told the story, but not the full story. The Baltimore Orioles walked away with the win, and the final outs were secured by Rico Garcia in his first career save. But what everyone will remember isn't just the result, it's how one routine sequence involving Kyle Bradish spiraled into a momentum-shifting moment that could have changed everything. In a league where margins are razor-thin, this wasn't just an error on the stat sheet. It was a reminder that mental lapses can define entire games, seasons, and even reputations in seconds. And the biggest question now is, how do you come back from a moment like that?